What is going on, everybody? Recently I finished the challenge where I defeated GoW and all Spartan items and all burdens, link in description. This one cost me about 40 hours of suffering. It completely overwhelmed my brain and my senses to the degree I was startling from any sound or anything touching me. It impacted my sleep, my work, and started ruining my marriage. At some point, I lost confidence in myself, thinking I am not up to the task. But then I came up with the fun cut of Kratos saying no to Freya's advice to reassess resources and started repeating it as the mantra to myself. And finally, I did it. I started shouting and jumping around the room like a gorilla on cocaine, and as I calmed down a bit, I rushed to the closest bottle shop to get myself some beer to relax my nerves. Why am I telling you that? Well, first of all, I needed to get it out of my chest. Second, if you want to replicate this challenge, I think you need to know what you're getting into. And third, there are some very good learnings from this fight that can be useful for all kind of players, from people who want just to beat GoW to the brave ones who are ready to replicate the Burdens challenge. In this video, I will walk you through the updated moves and patterns she has, so you will know what to expect and how to counter those. On top of that, I want to share my experience of beating the challenge. Even if you are not planning on taking it, I would still recommend you to watch the entire video because the tech and mechanics I will be talking about are applicable for regular fight as well. This guide is based on the previous GoW guide I have created, so if you haven't watched it yet, pause this one, catch up on how to beat her with science, and then come back. Link to the video is in the top right corner and in the description. So, what did MG Plus bring to this fight? Let's start from the easy and obvious parts, updated moves. Soundstone and Sigil Fire now procured with Bifrost shards. You can't evade them, only block. So as you see those, raise your shield immediately. Those will apply Bifrost regardless and will push you away a little bit. It massively impacts the ability to get to GoW and land some hits on her. Also, Soundstone now appears much later after she rises, so don't be too eager to offload sonic arrows. You need to wait till you actually see the Soundstone, otherwise you will empty your quiver without interrupting her. Freya shouting Soundstone is also a good reference to shoot if you don't have visibility. Next we have the Bifrost Barrage. She does it now twice. You need to be a bit more aware of the arena and try not to lock yourself on the edge. Also, it makes this move an absolute nightmare if she starts doing it right in front of you. If that's the case, I would suggest interrupting it with Rage or Quick Runic. All her block breaker overhead attacks now leave the Bifrost AoE. Literally no difference for no damage runs, but if you make a regular one, it can make your next mistake more punishing. Her wing block now will apply a buttload of Bifrost to you if you hit into it. Same as previous update, literally no difference for no damage runs, but could be punishing for regular runs. And the last but not least is her blue ring area. I can't confirm it, but it feels to me like it comes out faster. What I can confirm is the area is definitely bigger, much bigger. If she does it while standing in the middle of the arena, she literally covers the entire arena. This actually brings quite a significant impact on the gameplay. First of all, it makes an Onslaught Shield a top choice for this fight. It is nice and easy to counter this move. However, if you are not using the Onslaught Shield, things become more complicated. When you see this move, you have like a millisecond to make a decision if you can reach her and shield bash or not. This depends on two factors: how far are you and are you in long animation. If you are not stuck in long animation like combo finisher, you very likely can get to her in time, unless you are on the very edge of the area. If you are too far, there are multiple options. You can try to roll away if there is a space behind, which is actually unlikely considering the increased size of the area. You can perfect time the Valor Rage to counter the move. I'm personally not good enough to do this consistently and I much prefer having Wrath. Or you can use Dot Her Relic if she doesn't have the Runic Shield to interrupt this move. Nice and easy. As I said before, if you are not stuck in long animation, 9 out of 10 times you actually can make it on time to her. But what if you are stuck in a long animation? Well, in this case, it sucks to be you. Ultimately, it depends on the length of animation, but for example, a simple light combo finisher will reduce the distance from which you can make it to shield bash by at least half. And the worst part of it, you don't even have enough time to use dot her to interrupt. So Valor remains your only choice. Long story short, try to avoid long non-cancelable animations. Okay, so those are updated moves, but there is more to it. In a previous video, I created a diagram where all her moves were combined in blocks with predictable patterns ending up in guaranteed openings, or how I call those, GoW blocks. Most of it still stands, but there's a fair bit of extra flavor to it to set you on the back foot. The worst part, some of the GoW moments are gone, so you ultimately have less opportunity to hit her. I tried to redo diagram, but it became too convoluted for the video. Let me know in the comments if you're still interested in one. If there will be demand, I will clean it up and post it. 4 Asgard move got some serious updates that can set you off. First of all, she can use it as a response to you interrupting her with runic attacks. And even though move itself can be used only starting from the second phase, 80% HP and down, she can use it as a response to interruption from the very beginning. Before she did 1 to 3 attacks, and if she did 3, she was open. Now, second and third, or both of those attacks can be swapped to unblockable kicks. Those kicks can't be evaded backwards, only sideways, and have different timings. Be careful and watch what she is doing before inputting the dodge. Another change in this move is that in some cases it can be followed up with block breaker overhead attacks, postponing the opening. So, either perform easily cancelable attacks or even wait a bit to make sure she is not going to do those. By the way, fly kicks move now have different timings, so if you're wondering why aren't you avoiding it consistently, that's probably why. Another change is elemental chakram throw. After she did it, she was usually open. Now, starting from the second phase, in most cases it will be followed up by a block breaker charge, so be careful running into her after this one. Submit move mostly remains the same, so staying in the block ready for the wing blender still works. However, if she does 2 submit moves in a row, she will follow up with some other attack. So this opening is gone as well. So those are the most impactful changes I have spotted. Let me know in the comments if you found anything I have missed. Now let's move to advanced stuff I needed to use in order to beat Burden's challenge. Quickly going through burdens, majority of those are just plain scaling, make Kratos weaker but do not alter the gameplay, so I will cover only 2 of them, Burden of Guardian and Burden of Evasion. Burden of Guardian will make you take damage if you miss the parry window on block breaker attacks. Of course, it depends on your parry skill, but I would say it is not a big deal if you're using a regular shield. Things will look very different if using the Spartan Aspis. Its parry windows are tiny, while counters are doing insane damage. Risking the entire run for it is not worth it in my opinion. You still can try to parry some regular attacks like Fly Kick or the last attack in the melee Chakram attack sequence to get more damage, where missing the parry window will not result in severe punishment. But the actual block breaker attack I tried to avoid at any cost. Fortunately, there are not many of those. First is her overhead attacks. Simply evade first attack sideways and then start cruising around her till she stops. When she stops, it will give you an opening. Unfortunately, if she is tucked into the corner because of the massive hitbox of this attack, you will have to try to parry it. Then there's a jab. First jab is blockable, so this is the one you want to try to parry. But if you fail, do the same thing as with the previous attack. Evade sideways and start walking around her. Second attack in the sequence could be jab or overhead. jab comes out a bit faster, so watch your timings, and again, if she is stuck into the corner, you have to parry it. And the last one is a block breaker charge. This one converted from the attack I was waiting for into an absolute nightmare. You can dodge this one, but then there is a follow-up and it doesn't really change anything. Dodging follow-up is extremely hard because of the burden of evade, which we'll get into later. And I could not find a precise enough reference point for such a tiny parry window. It also feels much different if she decides to do this move while staying in front of you. What I'm trying to say, despite all my effort, I could parry only every second of those attacks with Aspis, and there is no way to avoid it in other way, so I had to suck it up. But the burden of Guardian is nothing compared to the burden of Evasion, the one that applies Frost if you roll. Obviously, parry timings should be much more precise because now you can't simply roll out of the way. But that is not the biggest problem here. The biggest problem is accidentally rolling and getting frozen. When you accidentally hold the evade button for too long. When you want to perform 2 evades in a row but press second time a bit too early. And by far the worst one, when you were sprinting and suddenly needed to evade incoming attack. As you know, Gna likes to run away and it makes chasing her so much harder. But I have some workarounds for you. First of all, I always strafe. It allows me not to worry about inputting direction while evading. Plus, it gives some extra movement distance in between attack animation start and impact time. So, it gives you a bit of extra chance of walking away from the attack hitbox in case you missed the window a little bit. Without burdens, I would recommend to strafe right because of wing thrust and fire attack. However, when you lose the ability to roll, it is more effective to strafe to the left because of the submit attack. It is almost impossible to evade it without rolling when evading to the right. Next advice is killing 2 birds with 1 shot. Elemental Chakram throw is a very tough one to dodge and has a massive hitbox, and for some reason sometimes she even throws it a bit sideways. Once I tried to evade it to the left but still found myself on the right side of it. Not sure if it's a bug or feature. And then, starting from the second phase, if you avoid this attack, she will follow up with a block breaker charge, which, as we discussed before, is the tough one to parry with Aspis Shield. This is where Hell's Touch comes into play. As you see her raising chakrams, doesn't matter if it's a throw or a circling one. Press Hell's Touch and interrupt it. If you get a good timing, you can even do this when chakram's already out and apply status effect to Gna. I think Hell's Touch with its super high speed, low cooldown, and massive area is the best candidate for the task. But some other runics might work as well. Helios Flare on the blades was not too bad when I tried it. Next tip I have here is about chasing her. As I said before, with burdens it could be very dangerous. SMVR suggested pressing L1 to momentarily stop, so then you can evade without rolling. I got this advice only after completing the challenge, so I can't talk about it in details, but it's definitely worth trying it out. What is not less important is to know when you can chase her. I found 2 situations when you can confidently do that. First, non-elemental chakram throw. When she does this a bit of a jump, she always pauses after it for a bit and you usually can run almost the entire arena towards her and land a hit or 2. Second is after a Soundstone or Sigil Fire. She might not stay after this one for too long, so I would not recommend running towards her if you are far away. However, just watching her and doing nothing might be very annoying, so you can throw an axe or spear into her a couple of times. It will not only deal a bit of damage, but will also give her a nudge and force her to start the next move, so you don't have to wait. Speaking of giving a nudge, one of the very important mechanics that I never talked about on this channel is when her damaging cycles got reset. and why you should be very careful with Freya's arrows. New cycle starts after some delay, but damaging her will bring this forward. Let me try to explain on the example. Let's say she did chakram throw, the one that we know she will pause after. If you just rush towards her, you always will be able to hit her at least once, even if you're on the other side of the arena. Unless, while you're sprinting, you start hitting her with Freya's arrows. In this case, the cycle will reset and Nami start to perform a new move. This could be very dangerous because she will catch you in the middle of the sprinting and may force you to roll. It works also with other openings. For example, there is a massive opening after Wing Thrust, so big that you reliably can land a Serpent Snare with an axe for massive damage. But if you hit her with the arrows, or especially stagger her a little bit, there is a good chance she will get out of it. In the best case, you can cancel Serpent Snare and miss out on a very solid damage. In worst, you are cooked. So those are my most important findings on the GoW fight. I hope it can help some people to beat her, or maybe even to complete the Burdens challenge. Let me know in the comments if you know some of her mechanics that I did mention. Like, comment, subscribe, all this stuff, and see you in the next one.